We are in the 13th day of this war which was forced upon us, which we didn't want, which we have no choice but to win. Not because we seek revenge, but because we can't live like this. Last week I went to visit the people who were evacuated from Kfar Aza. At the entrance I met an elderly lady that I know, and she said to me, "They killed my son, but at least I have cancer and I will die soon enough. I will not have to feel what I feel anymore." I met a 13-year-old girl who saw the murder of her best friend. I met a father whose wife and 2 children were abducted, sits alone in an empty apartment. I met people with hollow eyes who described to me what burned babies look like. The terrorists abducted a particularly large number of young women. We are trying not to think why, but we can't. I want to remind you, the horrors of October the 7th has nothing to do with the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The terrorists are not part of the struggle for a Palestinian state. Hamas don't care about that. Just like ISIS and Al-Qaeda, they don't want any agreement with anyone. They want to kill Jews because they are Jews, and Christians because they are Christians, and moderate Muslims because they are moderate. They killed 260 young people who went to a music festival because Hamas don't like music, they only love death and bloodshed. It is interesting and shocking how quickly the world has moved on. Israel was giving barely a week of sympathy and global shock. And then the world went back to attacking us for defending ourselves. I've got one question to you all, and that question is really the reason we're here. Do you think an organization which has no problem butchering babies, butchering pregnant women, and butchering a 13-year-old autistic girl with an 80-year-old grandmother has any problem lying? Of all the distortions of the press coverage of the past days, the worst one is the balance. A large part of the media is offering its readers and viewers a balanced picture. They are presenting both sides equally. The story told by a democratic country that is trying to protect life, and the story told by a murderous terror organization that hates life. Hamas lies as a policy. They murder our children and then they blame us. They murder their own children and then blames us. They use people as human shields, fire at them if they try to escape, and cover for this with vast amount of fake news. There has never been a more cynical and horrific abuse of freedom of speech. My argument is that the media can't just claim to bring both sides of the story. If you do that, you are only bringing one, Hamas' side. That's cowardly and it's lazy. It's an insult to the victims, including the Palestinian victims. It's also an insult to the core idea of what journalism is. Believe me, I know I was a journalist for 31 years. I have no problem with criticism of Israel. But when you know that one side lies and one side makes every effort to verify the facts, the least we can expect is that you don't give a never-ending platform to the lies. Be suspicious, be careful, give us a fair chance and enough time to check the facts. I know you are all horrified by what happened. I know you've seen horrific sights. I know you've told the stories of the victims. I know that none of you want to support Hamas's evil, but that's the result. What's happening here in the past days is nothing less than terrible. Israel is trying to defend itself. We can't live like this. We can't ask our children to live like this. If the international media is objective, it serves Hamas. If it just shows both sides, it serves Hamas. If it creates symmetry between sufferings without first checking who caused it, it serves Hamas. I know you don't mean to, but that's the result, and it's time for it to change. I'm not telling you how to do your job, but it's got to change. We will be happy to work with you in any way you suggest to make sure the way this conflict is covered changes fundamentally.